Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 9th, 2019 regular meeting of the City of Coolidge City Council. We welcome everybody to the meeting. The first order of business will be the invocation by Pastor Terry Perry with the Spirit of Joy Methodist Church. And when Pastor Terry is done with that, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Terry.
Let us pray. Merciful God, as we are in the midst of a hectic holiday season, many of us find ourselves already harried and frustrated with so many additional activities, obligations, and an endless to-do list. Yet we've come together this evening out of our concern for the community. Grant us the grace to see issues clearly as we ask your wisdom to make them what they ought to be. Show us how to be part of the answer and not part of the problems that have a tendency to overwhelm us. May we be channels of your grace, conduits of your wisdom and mercy, instruments of your peace as we ask your blessing on this meeting. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor. Good job as usual. Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Jimmy Walker.
Here.
Councilmember Tina Kaufman.
Here.
Councilmember Steve Hudson. Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Ben Navarro.
Here.
And Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Move on to presentations. Item number 4, monthly report and business spotlight recognitions by the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Casa Palomino is our business spotlight for tonight, for this month, and they didn't make it. You know, on a night like this, it's hard to remember the special event. But they're celebrating 25 years in our community. Dion and Tony, it's family run, and you see a lot of their family then they're working in there. So, really glad to have them in our community. Great Mexican food. Okay, for our reinvestments for October, we have Banner Casa Grande Medical Center, Western Investments, Spirit of Joy Church, American Legion, Sun Corridor Metropolitan Planning Organization, Henry Brown Automotive, Pinal County Federal Credit Union, Coolidge Unified School District, Casa Palomino, Mexican Restaurant, the Windmill Winery, Total Network and Telecom Solutions, Hohokam Mobile Village, Bottle Stop, Great Western Bank, Heritage Environmental Services, and Coolidge Cleaners. They're going to be closing their doors. They renewed, but I don't think they were planning on closing as soon as they are. And they've been in the community for over 75 years, so that's going to be a great loss. New memberships is Tallulah Precious Hands, the River's Edge Dental, Domino's Pizza, and Fred Cigars. Our walk-ins are up. We're at 698 for October. Our phone calls, they're down a little bit, about 2%, 374. We sent out one relocation packet to Oregon. Top state visitors was Oregon, and top foreign country, you guessed it, Canada. October permits, there were 42, and that's up 14%. Evaluations was over 6 million, which is up 43% from last year. And year-to-date is 341 permits. So we're moving right along. Visitors for the Casa Grande Ruins for October was 5,136. Year-to-date is 57,269. Some of the things coming up to highlight are the Christmas in the Park Light Parade. Is there going to be a special event for that? Oh, great. Hope International Christmas Party on the 14th, and then we'll have our membership luncheon on the 18th, and we ask everybody to bring in a gift for the Toys for Tots, and that's going to be on cyber security. Any questions?
Any questions?
No.
On behalf of the board, we'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year.
Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is call of the public. If anybody in the audience wants to address the council, please step up to the microphone, the podium, and the microphone, and give us your name and your address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind. Not seeing anybody rush up there. We'll move out of call of public. Approval of minutes, discussion and action. Item 5, City Council Study Session, November 12, 2019. Item 6, City Council Regular Meeting, November 12, 2019. And item 7, City Council Regular Meeting, November 25th, 2019. Is there any additions or corrections to any of the minutes of any of these events?
No.
If not, then I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve items 5, 6, and 7.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move into public hearings. The first public hearing to receive public comments on a zoning code amendment to section 1902B of the zoning code changing the submittal requirements related to conditional use permit applications. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. Tim Hansen has identified some areas that could utilize streamlining, and we talked about it in staff and then also with City Manager Rick Miller. And so we're bringing some of these things to you to streamline our process. And in this case, it's about conditional use permits. And what we're doing is removing some redundancy items under this item so that they don't have to put in so many things at the beginning of the conditional use permit. And some of the things that require conditional use permit include solar farms, assisted living, medical marijuana cultivation, etc. The public hearing was held on November 6th by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They recommended approval of the proposed amendments. This is the second of 2 public hearings. There's an action item following. It's number 20. A little later, this is just a public hearing. And I have Tim Hansen and myself are here to answer any questions you may have.
Does anybody up here have any questions?
I had one question. And my one question really was, what is the difference between a conditional use permit and a permanent use permit?
And which one?
The permanent use. What's the difference between the conditional and the permanent?
The conditional use is specifically, if you look at the zoning code, it has listed principally permitted uses is probably what you're referring to, things that are allowed outright by the zoning code. And then it'll have a section that says these things are conditionally approved. So the conditional use permit allows P&Z to hear public comment on that item. So when they apply for conditional use, staff notifies everybody within a certain perimeter of the property, and then people have the right to come in and voice their opinion whether they like it or not, or it's going to impact the property, negotiate different things for that. So in this case, right now what the conditional use permit process asks for is the same thing you would do for a major site plan. So it's a lot to ask for at the beginning, especially since they may not get the conditional use permit. So we're waiting because later they'll have to come back anyway and bring in all the extra information. So this is just a streamlining effort.
I was just going to add to that, Mr. Mayor. Typically, those uses that might cause some external influence to surrounding properties, tire repair, air hammers, things like that, that might cause a disturbance to the immediate surroundings. Those are oftentimes conditionally permitted.
Okay.
And if they don't continue to comply with the conditional use, it can be revoked, correct?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, that is correct. That is one of the items in the conditional use permit that can be enacted if they don't comply. It can be brought back before the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Any more questions up here? This is a public hearing. Anybody in the public have any questions regarding this matter? Okay, not seeing anybody. We'll move out of this public hearing And we'll move into a public hearing under item number 9 to receive public comments on a zoning code amendment to section 1905D of the zoning code, removing final plat from the submittal requirements of a PAD. This is a public hearing. Mr. Lopez, is that you?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. This is the same as before. We're trying to streamline the process, reduce some of the redundancy, and in this case, what it does, it actually doesn't require, so what we would do is not require the final plat until the PAD process has been approved, because right now it requires everything that's required in the final plat up front as they apply for a PAD. So that's a lot of money that you have to put out in engineering and things you have to do prior to the application. So this is what this does. It just removes it from the front end of it, and once it's approved, the PAD goes through the process where, you know, a PAD shows you what areas are residential, commercial, multifamily, and all that, and then the final plat, the plat process then identifies the densities in different areas and very specific information. So all this does is removes that from the front end and puts it on the back end. It's a correction, really, staff feels. And we're here to answer any questions. P&Z had, this is the second 2 public hearings. At the November 6th meeting, they heard this and recommended approval to Mayor and Council.
Okay. Anybody have any questions up here?
No.
It's a public hearing. Anybody in the public have any questions regarding this matter? No? Not seeing anybody approach. We'll move out of that public hearing and we'll move into public hearing under item number 10 to receive public comments on a zoning code amendment to section 904H of the zoning code, adding double-wide manufacturing home to the list of requirements in the manufacturing home overlay zone.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. This was brought before Planning and Zoning, and if you recall, there's an overlay zone over a large part of the city that is residential, stick-built homes. But years ago, Mayor and Council passed an overlay zone to allow manufactured homes to go in through a conditional use permit process. What we've seen lately is some lots being purchased for not so much affordable housing as they are just rentals. And so what we thought as staff, we were looking at this, and when we had a manufactured home, a single wide put in between 2 stick-built homes, one was brand new, we thought, you know, it looks so out of place that maybe in keeping with the character of the neighborhood, we could require a double wide. Potentially it looks a little more like a regular home. And so that's where this thought came from. So we brought this before P&Z. Now, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and this is incorrect, I got to correct this because it says approved of the proposed amendment, but they denied it. And so they wanted to leave it the same. We had an actual lobbyist from the Manufacturers Association come in and brought up some issues that one thing he said, it was fair housing, and we don't agree with that because fair housing is protecting different classes of people. The manufactured home is not a protected class. And we did not remove the single wide from regularly allowed zoning districts where mobile homes are allowed. So they're still allowed. This is only for the overlay district. So this is already on for a public hearing, and the other item is in the action item for you to either agree or disagree, or you can discuss it. So we're here to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Any questions?
No.
Down here. It's a public hearing. Anybody in the audience have any questions regarding this issue? Not seeing anybody approach. We'll move out of this public hearing, and we'll move into the next public hearing on item 11. To receive public comments on proposed amendments of sections 302, 501C, 701D, and 702C of the City of Coolidge Zoning Code to define hemp processing and permit the use within certain zoning districts. Mr. Lopez.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. Staff looked at this and initiated a zone based on recent changes to the laws that allow for the production of industrial hemp. And if you notice, the federal government is allowing hemp to be used, and it's not, it looks a lot like marijuana, but it's not marijuana, it's not cannabis. It has to have a level of 0.03 THC to be considered hemp, industrial hemp to be used, and they make oils out of it and all that. Now you see it all over in the stores. So all we were doing is bringing this amendment forward so we can add hemp processing as a conditional use permit, as we talked about earlier. What this would do is allow it as a conditional use in agriculture and garden industrial I-1. So they would have to go through the conditional use permit, and people would get a chance to voice their opinion on it. And then also as a principally permitted use in industrial I-2. So we believe in industrial I-2, it could be principally allowed. That's where all the heavy industrial things are placed. You know, refineries, heavy, vehicle manufacturing, those type of things. So this would just amend and add hemp processing to our zoning code as these things move forward, and you'll probably see a lot more of our agricultural community start growing some hemp, and so we want to be ahead of this and have it in our zoning code. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
No.
Isn't some of the farmers, I know Jack Dixon down in Eloy and some of these other guys are already growing hemp.
Mayor
Because they have armed guards on it at night.
Mayor Thompson, that's correct. And I think some of it, the confusion is because it looks so much like marijuana. Yeah, they might think it is, which it's not. I mean, they could probably smoke it for a long time. It won't do any good.
No.
It may take the pain away from, they put it on the oil on their bones.
So what was that the middle when you read, Gilbert? There was like three?
Yes, agriculture, conditionally permitted in agricultural zoning, garden industrial I-1.
Let's talk about that.
Yep.
What's that one?
The garden industrial, we only have two areas. The main one is that is garden industrial right now, is the TDK building over across from the
baseball park.
Yeah, but
So
Kenilworth
they could
Sports
turn that
Complex.
into a hemp?
Well, but they would have to apply for a conditional use permit. So they would have to come before planning and zoning and then bring that they want to apply for that, and then so the public would get a chance to voice their opinion if they approve it or not. Now, it is a federally recognized allowable use, but we thought that through the conditional use permit, if there's any sort of disagreement, or say they could say whether or not it's going to smell, whether there's an odor to it or not, or whether, maybe the P&Z will say you have to control those odors through some sort of an air system that actually removes it and cleans it. So that's why we put it in I-2 as a conditional use. So we didn't restrict it out of there. We allow it, but it's through a process where the public has a chance to come in and speak about it and hear if it's okay, and they're okay with it, then moves forward. Any other questions?
So it's all or nothing on that. You got to leave that in there.
See, Mr. Fitzgibbons, I don't know if we can change it. I think we could either bring it back to you with the, Mayor, are you talking about taking out I-2?
Well,
Right, the I-1, the garden industrial? Because right now it'll allow any areas, there are only a couple areas, so any other area in the city that would be I-1.
I just
future.
don't think we need to have one across from our baseball and softball facility.
If I understand correctly, even if we leave this in here, we still have avenues we can take that later, if that was to happen, Sam will know that's
Yes.
not what we want.
No, absolutely. I mean, if we looked at it and you decided you didn't want to have it in there, we could come back and change it. Right now, all it'll do is allow in I-1 and I-2, in I-1 as a conditional use permit process, and I-2 predominantly, it'll principally allow it, as we talked about earlier.
And the last one would be like out at Stinger.
Yes. Yes, Mayor, that's correct.
Okay. There's a public hearing. Anybody in the public have anything they want to ask or speak to? Please step. Yes, sir. State your name and your address, please.
My name is Jeffrey Slater. I'm actually from Chandler, but I have an interest in this hemp discussion. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of City Council. There was some question about what it might smell like, or what type of influence there might be from adjacent properties. And we understand the concern, especially from a baseball field or places where there might be some children. So I thought I might be able to answer some questions regarding that. The reason why I'm here is because me and my partner Nate Hastings are interested in that specific property, 789 South Christensen Road. And we're looking at possibly putting in a hemp processing facility there. And so I wanted to maybe just answer any questions that you had about the process and just help out in any way I can.
So tell us about smell.
You bet. There's no smell. So to ease any concerns about what you might experience from the exterior of it, the process is that hemp is brought in, and it's dried hemp, so there's no smell to that. It's placed within a confined space, and then there's a separate portion of the building that we would like to utilize that has some machinery in there that processes that hemp and makes oil out of it. And there's no smell to the oil, and there will be marginal to no smell from the hemp because it's already dried. There's no drying going on. Unlike from a farm, you might pass by a farm and smell some of the hemp because it's growing there. In this case, there would be you wouldn't smell anything at all. And this particular facility also, the space that we're looking at utilizing is on the far side, not where the road is, but on the eastern side. And so our goal is to not have any indication that there's any hemp processing going on there at all. One, for a safety issue, we're going to have product there that people have a misunderstanding, oh, this is hemp, like it might be marijuana, so we don't want to have any people coming in and trying to steal it as a safety issue. And then secondly, we just don't want to advertise maybe for people who have misunderstanding of what hemp is.
So at no time, from my understanding, no time will any of the plant be visible to the public? Or
the only time that it might be visible is maybe once a week when a truck arrives, and even in that case, most of the time it's going to be in what's called a super sack, which is a 6x6x6 sack that's stacked on a truck, and it comes in to the inside of a warehouse and dropped off. Yeah. All the rest of it is in-house within the facility.
Now, those super sacks coming in on a flatbed, or are they going to be in like a 53-foot van?
You know, it depends on who's bringing it. I think in most cases it's going to be contained. Nate might be able to speak to that more. He's done a little bit more research on the farmers and how it's brought in. But it may not come from Arizona. It might come from other states. And it's a product that you don't want to have get wet. So my assumption, I think it's going to be in a contained.
Council, my name is Nate Hastings. I also live in Gilbert. They typically come in on a semi-truck. It's usually cooled. So from our product standpoint, Jeff talked about odor or lack thereof. Not only is it dried, it's transported to us in a cooled environment because you start to lose oil content as temperature levels increase. So that's another way we're able to take smell out of the equation. But yeah, everything's in an air-conditioned transport.
Okay, so
vehicle.
no pun intended, is going to be transported on a reefer.
Say that again.
Thanks.
I will say I do understand the concern. There is a lot of overlap between the hemp industry and the marijuana industry, but now that there's a lot more knowledge out there and a lot more understanding, it's just a matter of educating people of what the difference is between the two and how one is more medically beneficial from my perspective. I think most people would agree. And it's not something where you get high. As indicated before, it has a very low or no level of THC, which is the component that's psychedelic active. You can't smoke it, get high. You can't take the oil and drink it and have any psychoactive effects from it.
so will there be any? Is this is for processing only? There'll be no sales of product?
No, it's just processing. Our intent is to take the biomass, which is the dried hemp, process it into an oil, and then take
Ship
it out
it out
and
to-
ship it elsewhere. Yeah, exactly.
I have no further-
This process of taking the hemp and extracting the oil, what are you doing with the leftover, the waste in that process?
Yeah. The most beneficial thing for us to do is to sell it to farmers for feed, so cattle can feed off of it.
Thank you.
Good milk.
Happy cattle.
Yeah, happy cattle.
They're not stoned.
Yeah. We're really excited about this prospect and working with the city of Coolidge, and we hope to help in any way we can with any type of activities that you have. And anyway, we're really excited about this prospect of working in the city.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're having everything shipped in. You don't plan on growing anything in the surrounding area?
No, we're not growers. I don't know anything about farming, but one of the components of it is to work with farmers, whether in-state or out-of-state, to procure it.
And then all you're producing out of it is just oil, no other products?
Just oil. We might have some, down the road, we might have some clients that will request what's called an isolate, which is really just taking the oil and drying it out to like a powder so that it can be used in other products like creams and things like that. Again, it doesn't have any odor to it. It's just a block of powder that is taking the liquid content out of it. And you isolate it down to just the CBD component.
What's the flammability of this stuff?
Of CBD oil, it's not flammable at all.
And in the processing, it's all non-combustible?
Yeah, it depends on the process that you use. There's different types of processes. We're looking at using what's called an ethanol-based system. Ethanol, if it's not contained properly, it is flammable. It's kind of like alcohol that you buy at the grocery store or at the dollar store, you know, those little containers of alcohol, rubbing alcohol. It has a similar flammability to rubbing alcohol, but our machinery requires for it to be super cooled. And so at those temperatures, it's not flammable at all.
Okay, I'm good.
And I'm assuming that your facility will be alarmed?
We will have heavy security there.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, we're talking about zoning, but he opened the door, and I guess Mr. Fitzgibbons, so we can ask him questions about if he was to come down here and apply for a permit to operate a business. We can talk about that now since they volunteered the information that they're interested in that area, right?
It's not on the agenda.
So we can't talk about it.
This zoning change is on the agenda. That's the only thing before. But if they have something unique that they are talking about coming to do here, that item, their proposal, their plans aren't here before us. And so nobody's been given notice that these two are here tonight and want to talk about their specific item. So we can talk about this change as it relates to hemp, but when if their item comes through that night, people will be able to ask, and the council will be able to ask very, specific questions about what they're going to try to do, how they're going to do it, and things like that.
Snuck a few through then.
Pardon me?
I guess they snuck a few through up here. Some of the questions are related to.
Did.
Yeah.
Well, I think you can ask it as it relates to here and smell. I mean, I think most of council's questions were kind of in the manufacturing process and not unique to their manufacturing, but in the manufacturing process and how it would impact surrounding properties, which I think is completely fine in a zoning case. I mean, it's something that's going into our zoning.
Because I know that they said, and again, I know it's not marijuana, but they said there'd be no odor, if you will, in the marijuana. One of the marijuana plants, the only one I've been in here, but I can always tell when the city manager's been out there fooling around, because when he comes back, he smells like he just rode into town with the guys from Woodstock. So that thing smells. I mean, all you got to do is open the door and it's on you.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. When it is smoked or when it's put on fire, yeah, there'll be some smell. But in this case, we wouldn't want to put it on fire. That would be burning our dollars. So.
Okay.
No, we wouldn't want to do that. And the intent that Nate and I had today was not really to present, but to just, if it came up, if you had some questions about, is there going to be an odor? What type of, perception might there be from the public? We just wanted to explain what the process is and what it's like.
All right. So this is a public hearing. Does anybody in the public have anything they want to ask or talk about? Okay. Tim?
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. I just want to talk about the amendment a little bit and how we got here. Director Lopez mentioned recent changes within state and federal law that allow for hemp to be grown. Farmer can plant that instead of cotton. They don't need any kind of permission from us to do that. So theoretically, to the north and northeast and east of Kenworthy Park can be filled with hemp in those fields, and it will smell. When you're talking about hemp processing, there's lots of different processes and uses. So you can process it for the oils and medical use. You can also take those oils or the powders and add them in health and beauty products, or you can process these fibers for textile uses, clothes, all kinds of stuff, rope. You can make fuel out of this stuff. So when looking at the appropriate zoning districts, or what we felt were, we principally permit it in I-2 because that's heavy industrial. Those are generally uses you don't want to live next to, make a lot of noise, dust, disruption. Within ag, we conditionally permitted it because we didn't want someone to have the bright idea to buy this acre and a quarter of agricultural land in the middle of a bunch of custom homes and just set up shop hemp processing. So the conditional use permit, as with I-1, allows us to review a specific location and determine whether that's correct or use for that property or not. In this particular site, the I-1 we have in town by Kenilworth, and there's another corner I-1 on Martin and 9th Street. The textile processing of this hemp is probably not appropriate for either location. They dry the stuff outside, it gets stored outside, they're just stripping the fibers. But once you're getting into medical oils or health and beauty products, this stuff is more regulated and has some FDA guidelines that apply, so it's always inside and processed inside. There's a lot more quality control because this is a consumable product now. The textile version, most people are out there eating shirts and ropes, so they can hang that stuff out there. There may be an odor associated, they can air dry it. But with the oil extraction or health and beauty products that come from this, it's less of a noticeable use, I guess. Far less than the cotton gin that one site used to be. And so that was our rationale in recommending conditionally versus permitted uses in these zoning districts.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything? No? All right then.
That's all we have at this time, unless you have any other questions.
In that case, we'll move out of that public hearing. And we're out of the public hearings. We'll move into business items for consent. Are any of these items for consent? Do we need to pull any of them off of the...
Mr. Mayor, we'd like to pull off number 14.
Okay. All right. So 14, is that it? Okay, then we'll move into business items for consent. Item 12. Consider approval of declaring a certain item of city-owned equipment and property, specifically the 2013 Massey Ferguson 268 Zero HD tractor with rotary mower and tandem disc as surplus, and authorizing staff to proceed with removal from city inventory of same. Item 13. Consider approval of reappointing Monty Allen and Andrea Hill Andrews to serve on the Library Advisory Board. Appoint Janelle Alowin and Andrea Brannon to Library Advisory Board. All terms will be through December 31st, 2021. 15, consider approval of entering into an airport development reimbursable grant agreement between the State of Arizona, acting by and through its Department of Transportation, and the City of Coolidge for the state grant funding in the amount of $16,891 for the design and engineering of runway 5-23 reconstruction project at the Coolidge Municipal Airport. And item 16, resolution number 19-31, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Pinal County, Arizona, authorizing and providing for the city finance director or designee to transfer city monies to an irrevocable escrow trust fund to be used to defease all or a portion of the city's payment obligations under a loan repayment agreement with the Greater Arizona Development Authority, authorizing the execution and delivery of an escrow trust agreement for the safekeeping and handling of securities and monies to be used to pay obligations being defeased, approving in substance the form of certain documents and authorizing completion, execution, and delivery thereof, authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary for the consummation of transactions contemplated by this resolution, ratifying the actions of all officers and agents of the city and others with respect to the transfer of monies and defeasance with the obligations being defeased, and declaring an emergency. Okay, those are 4 items. I'm going to need a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve consent items 12, 13, 15, and 16 is read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, with regard to item 14, we're just requesting that be tabled for tonight.
Okay.
Mayor, I move that we table item number 14.
Second it.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll move into business, regular items. Item 17. Consider approval of changing the library fee charged by late DVDs. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, City Council. The Library Advisory Board has been discussing ways to increase access to library services to community members. They determined that the late fee charged for DVDs is antiquated. When the library first began offering DVDs, they were much more expensive than books. However, the cost of DVDs has dropped significantly in the last few years. The current policy charges a patron $1 per day for each DVD that is late, but charges 10 cents a day for all other items that are overdue. Since the cost of DVDs is no longer any more than the cost of a book, the Advisory Board recommends that the late charge fee be matched to the fees charged for books at 10 cents per day, up to a maximum of $5. Patrons will be charged for the replacement cost of all unreturned items when they are more than 30 days overdue. Library privileges will continue to be suspended when a patron accumulates a balance exceeding $5. This change will make the late charges consistent with the cost of materials. The fines are proposed to be changed to all overdue items are charged 10 cents per day until returned. There is a 4-day grace period on these items. Materials returned past the 4-day grace period will be charged for the full overdue period. Overdue fines shall not exceed the original price of the item. As required by law, the proposed change in fees and fines will be posted on the City of Coolidge website for 60 days. At that point, the City Council will consider whether to approve the proposed change. I'd like to thank our new Advisory Board member, Andrea Brannan, for coming tonight, as you approved her for Advisory Board, and also she participated in the conversation we had at the last Advisory Board meeting. I appreciate all the board members' commitment to serving the community. The board is especially grateful that Councilmember Navarro took the time to discuss this proposal at the last board meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions down here?
I don't have any questions, but I did attend that meeting. We sat and talked about it, and a lot of these books are going for $20, $30, $40, depending on the book. And they're only charging a dime a day for a late fee. A lot of these DVDs you can get $5, $7, and they're charging $1 a day for that. I think it just makes sense to knock it down to a dime a day rather than $1 a day for something that's so cheap anymore. It would make more sense to have it higher on the actual book than a DVD that they sell very cheaply.
Yeah, and I think this goes hand in hand with, it wasn't that long ago that Joyce came to us and wanted to just get rid of all the overdue fees. And I think there's other things we can do, making adjustments and trying to do some collections and other things that make more sense than just wiping everything off the books immediately. So this could be one of them. So, anybody have anything they want to say? No? Okay. If there's nothing further, then I guess we need a motion to act, right?
This is discussion only.
Oh, it's discussion only. All right, well, thank you. Do you have anything else?
No, I'll get it on the city website, and I'll see you in 60 days.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Item 18. Consider approval of purchasing a new Massey Ferguson 4710 tractor utilizing trade-in value and substantial discounts offered by Massey Ferguson and Empire Cat in the final purchase amount of $38,667 from Empire Caterpillar for the Public Works Streets Division, utilizing a City of Tucson contract number 161534, procured through the SAVE Cooperative, utilizing Pinal County road tax funds and revenue generated by the online auction of certain items previously declared surplus, and waiving the sealed bid requirements in the best interest of the city. Hello, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council. This item is to replace the item that was declared surplus on the consent agenda. This is our tractor that we use for the mowing operations. We've had this tractor since 2013 when we purchased it, and we put it through considerable amount of wear and tear. It goes everywhere in the city of Coolidge. It mows the drainage ditch along Coolidge Avenue. It mows out towards the airport. It mows in the outskirts and the perimeter areas. And so this is a tractor that we use all the time. And it's good to, we use it primarily to maintain the appearance of the city, coming into the city, the entrances into the city, along Vacayan as well, coming over from Florence. That's one that one of the primary entrances is to the city that we use, and we use this to keep the vegetation that we control down. The current tractor that we have, like I said, we purchased it in 2013, but it's not really as heavy duty as what we specifically need it for, and so part of the issues that we were having with it, there was the design flaw, and so when the mower blade was engaged, it had a clutch, and there wasn't any breaking of the mower disc when the clutch grabbed onto it, and so it caused excessive wear and tear on that, and in some instances it actually sheared off the clutch mechanism that we were using to control the blade speed and the mower deck. This new tractor that we are looking at purchasing, we had Empire Caterpillar and Massey Ferguson come out, look at it. They offered us a $6,000 company discount, as well as a almost $6,800 discount for the government discount, as well as a trade-in value of our existing tractor of $19,260. Those are trade-in values and discounts that we would not be able to get going through any other vendor for that. This one, we had an initial concern was that, yes, you're selling us this new tractor. We want to make sure that it'll meet the needs for us. And we got it confirmed through Massey Ferguson and through Empire Caterpillar that there is a different mechanism now that controls the blade. It actually goes into neutral, slows down, and then you can engage it. So it'll take out the problem that we were having with the shearing of that. So we're looking for council to approve this so we can go ahead with the purchase on it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So, Matt, this is the only tractor that you have currently used for that?
We have another one. We have a John Deere, but the other John Deere is older than the 2013 Massey Ferguson that we have, and we use that only as an emergency. And with the Massey Ferguson one down, we actually had just a week and a half ago the John Deere went down as well. So right now we are without a tractor.
Okay. And you said that part of the funds was coming from the online auction of other items, surplus items?
That's correct. With the previous auctions that we had, the items that were listed from the Public Works Streets Department totaled about $42,000. We used a portion of that to replace the service truck that we purchased that council approved 2 months ago from Garrett Motors. We're using the balance of we're using some more of the surplus funds to make up the balance of this. And then with regard to the surplus, once we declare those other items surplus, we will list them for public auction and replenish some of those funds from the proceeds.
Thank you.
Anything else down here? What down here? How soon can you get it if it's approved?
We can call them tomorrow morning and say we've got the go ahead. Let's go. Let's do it.
I see the one we got all over the place. It's like on that commercial where that guy took his John Deere and he took off down the median. Yeah, that thing's everywhere. So.
It is.
Okay. All right. If there's no discussion, I need a motion.
So moved.
To approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve and then a second. I can vote on this one, right, guys? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Give them a call. Item 19, ordinance number 19-21. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, rezoning certain parcels of land from planned area development to agriculture, consisting of approximately 6.95 acres, more or less, located in the KLC Ranch subdivision. Mr. Lopez.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, we've had these before you previously, and all we're doing is taking 5 lots, KLC Ranch, that we're converting from PAD over to agricultural. And it helps in 2 ways. It's structures that are over 800 square feet require a conditional use permit under PAD. In agriculture, they do not. And then also the setback is reduced from 40 feet to 10 feet for accessory structures in ag zoning versus the PAD. So it helps in 2 areas. And these were brought before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They held public hearings on December 4th, which is last week, and they recommended approval to you all for this item.
Yeah, we've had these the last 2 meetings.
Yes. Yes, Mayor, that's true. That's correct.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay. I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve item 19 is read.
Second.
Okay, Norma.
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 20, ordinance number 19-22. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 1902B of the zoning code, changing the submittal requirements for a conditional use permit.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, we had the public hearing on this item before, and basically it's changing the submittal requirements for conditional use permits to reduce redundancy on them. And we'll answer any questions you may have. This is the action item for that.
Nothing?
Down here? Okay, then I need a motion to act.
Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 19-22 as read.
Second.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 21, ordinance number 19-23, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 1905D of the zoning code to remove final plat from the preliminary development submittal requirements for a planned area development from PAD.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. Again, this is related to the planned area development application, and there's an error on the first paragraph there. It should say related to PAD versus conditional use. I'll just point that out. But this is, again, it will remove the final plat for the PAD submittal requirements up front. And answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? That's the one we had one of the public hearings on down
Yes.
here. Okay, then I need a motion to act.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion that we approve ordinance number 19-23 as read.
Second.
Okay, so motion is second. Norma.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 22, ordinance number 19-24, an ordinance of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 904H of the zoning code to add double-wide manufactured home to the list of requirements for a conditional use permit in the manufactured home overlay zone.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, as we previously had the public hearing, this would amend the requirements for the overlay zone for manufactured homes. And when applying, so there was a list of them provided of the different requirements. It has to be ground set. Certain types of roof material. So there's quite a few things that have to be done. So this would just add on number 16 on the very end, any manufactured housing unit must be a double wide. And again, planning and zoning did not recommend approval on this item.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I've given this a lot of thought, and I agree with the staff on doing away with the single family, or the single manufactured homes. The double wide manufactured homes looks more like a regular home. And I know that there are some lots that are smaller, but I know the city can work with the builders or, for the setbacks and that kind of stuff. I do believe the homes could be no older than 3 years old, correct?
Yes.
Everything is still the same?
Vice Mayor Henry, yes.
Okay.
Everything stays the same. We just added that requirement.
So I have no problem with it.
And they have to be ground set.
Yes.
Mayor, that's correct.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. And not hearing any, then I need a motion to act.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve ordinance number 19-24 as read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Norma?
Yes. Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 23, ordinance number 19-25, an ordinance of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, amending sections 302, 501C, 701D, and 702C of the zoning code to define hemp processing and allow hemp processing as a conditionally permitted use in the agricultural, garden industrial zoning districts, and as a principally permitted use in general industrial I-2 zoning district. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. This is, again, related to the public hearing we had for the staff-initiated change based on recent changes to the law that allows the production of industrial hemp. And the Planning and Zoning had a public hearing on this item November 6, 2019, and recommended approval of this item to the Mayor and Council for allowing them as conditionally permitted uses in agricultural, garden, industrial I-1, and then principally permitted use in general industrial I-2 zoning. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Down here? No. Well, if there's no questions, then I need a motion to act.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance number 19-25 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 24, resolution number 19-32. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, declaring as a public record that certain document filed with the city clerk and entitled Chapter 24 Cable Television Code of the Coolidge City Code relating to the updated of rules and regulations relating to video service providers conducting business within the city of Coolidge.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members. This is basically bringing in our city code in compliance with what the legislature passed. It basically said that video service provider are matters of statewide concern. So they basically overrode what Mayor and Council previously adopted, which is Article 8-7, which I think I brought before you in the summer. And so this has to be in effect by January 1st, I believe. And so this is, we're bringing this to you so that we're in compliance with the state law, ARS statute, Title 9, Chapter 13. And so it adopts a separate Chapter 24, impacts right-of-way and how those permits are issued. Matt Rencher's here, he agrees, and if you have any questions for him on that area, he's here also. So we're bringing this before you for adoption, and the item that follows is also part of this. And we'll answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Lopez, it really doesn't really matter, I don't guess, that much, does it? The state legislature decided to tell the cities and towns how they're going to do their business in this, regarding this matter, so we're just doing what they already legislated, aren't we?
Mayor Thompson, that is correct.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions? All right, then I need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve resolution number 1932 is read.
Second it.
Okay, Norma?
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes.
Councilmember Walker,
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta,
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 25, ordinance number 19-26, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, adopting that certain document known as Chapter 24 Cable Television Code by reference as Chapter 24 of the Coolidge City Code and repealing Article 8-7 of Chapter 8 of the Coolidge City Code and providing for severability and the effective date thereof. Mr. Lopez.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, this is the second portion we spoke about. This is the ordinance that actually adds the Chapter 24 and also repeals the 8-7 in Chapter 8 of our code and brings us in compliance with state law. We'll answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
That's the second half. You had to shoot the horse twice, didn't you, Gilbert? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, can I just, we haven't done one of these, why we do the resolution first. The reason we do the resolution first is because we declare it all a public record, and therefore, since we have to publish all our ordinances, we don't have to publish the entire ordinance. And so it saves the city a substantial amount of money on publication fees of their ordinance. And so that's why we have a two-step process. You'll see most cities do it this way. The resolution declares it as a public record, and then what only gets published is the notice in the newspaper that the new law is in effect, but we don't have to publish the whole new law. They can come and either get it online or they can get it at the library. But we do it as a cost-saving measure to our citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbons. You're a
No
wealth of
problem.
information.
Well, Mr. Mayor, we haven't had one of those in a while, so I thought I wanted to share that. Why
Thank
we
you
do
for
it that
jogging
way.
our memory. Is Gabe still here? He should be.
Snuck out.
Oh, see, he's saving us some money. Yeah. All right. Okay, I need a motion.
Mayor, move to approve ordinance number 19-26 as read.
Second.
Okay, Norma.
Councilmember Walker?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Henry?
Yes.
Councilmember Navarro?
Yes.
Councilmember Murrieta?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
You earned your money tonight, Norma.
Thank you.
We haven't had that many ordinances all year. Okay, now we're down to report from the mayor, council, and/or city manager. Councilmember Walker.
Nothing, Mayor.
Have anything?
I've got nothing to add this week. I apologize.
Okay.
I don't have anything to report.
Me either. I'm all good.
That's a first. Okay.
I would just like to thank the city council and staff for being so positive for our community and all the hard work that everybody has done. I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and be safe because we will not have another meeting this month,
This decade.
this decade. Okay. That's it.
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I know when Lynn was talking about the special event we have coming up this Friday, the Electric Light Parade, we have a very special event that will kick the parade off, and that is the lighting of the historic Arizona Water Company water tank. It looks like things are on schedule. We'll be lighting that tower up. Would invite the mayor and council to come to the parking lot area right by Development Services in advance of the parade.
Excuse you.
Pardon me.
Excuse you. We'd like probably those that are interested to invite the community to come. That we received a number of contributions to the lighting project. I think I reported previously that the total lighting project that's being done is being paid for by the Arizona Water Company, but we pledged some revenue to help offset those costs. The water company put in a sizable contribution in painting the tower and putting the Coolidge name up there in a 1920s font. But we received a significant amount of contributions by private companies and individual donors. And the amount that the city has previously pledged, which was about $25,000, is already coming down. We're going to be far less than the $25,000 that we originally thought we'd need to put into this project. So very exciting. It'll be illuminated in with various LED lights along the four legs and the tank, the wall tank and the bowl of the tank. Possibly by this Friday, we may not have the fill pipe lighted, but the legs and the tank and the bowl will all be lighted. The fill pipe might have to be delayed slightly because they're still working diligently to get the lighting up. But things are looking good on that, and it's going to be quite a historic event. Be able to light that tower up in different colors to celebrate the different seasons or special events, or just leave it white at night to show as a beacon in our community and show a little pride in who we are and what we're about as a community. It's one of the only very few examples of a working water tower. This tower was built in 1929, and there are very few examples like this. We're very proud of that feature. I mean, if you look back in historic photographs, it's the prominent landmark in the community, and I think it will be real nice to show it off with the lighting.
And did you say what time that was?
The light parade starts at 7. We'd like to light this up around 10 minutes till. Once the tower is lit, That'll kind of give the green light for the parade to proceed. So just before 7 o'clock, I'd like to have everybody come out there and be ready a little bit ahead of that time. Okay? In the parking lot there on the west side of Development Services, probably the best place to see this. If you're at San Carlos Park, the trees and other buildings might obstruct it, so it's better to be close up and get the full effect of the lighting.
That it? Okay, I don't have much. One of the things we did find out is the one in Gilbert doesn't have any water in it.
That's true.
Their water tower that's lit up doesn't have any water in it. They don't use it for that.
Right.
So, but the main thing that we've been doing lately is Mr. Miller and Mr. Lopez and I have been, and Tim Hansen's been in on it. We've been going to water school with our consultant, and this morning we went to a meeting at the county regarding water for Coolidge. It seems that we're actually in a much better position than a number of the communities around us, so I guess I don't have to tell you what that means. So we will be trying to hold on to what we got and trying to work with the other communities, try to make sure that the Coolidge moves forward and we have enough water to do what we need to do here in our community as well as the region. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a safe holiday season. Make it back for our meeting in January. We can't afford to lose any more citizens. So with that, I would look for a motion to get out of here.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you for coming, everybody.
Sure.